Well, it's 6 p.m. We'll open the meeting and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would stand and face the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's 6 p.m. And we have 3 of the 4 aldermen that are sitting. Kyle called and said he would be just a little late, so. Everybody has seen the agenda? Changes or any issues that you can see aside from 2 pages?
We've been asked if we could move agenda item 8 to up between above 5.
So maybe between 4 and 5, somewhere in
Well, we have guests here, that's why I had it where
That's-
I
yeah,
did, because
that's
we
right.
asked these other people to come in, so
So,
it's up to you, but that's the way, that's why I had it the way we did.
okay, That
Brandon
I
and
do.
Kelsey are here, Jeff is here. If you wanted to move it to before
between 5
6.
and 6. I make a motion just to change public input number 8 to between 5 and 6.
there. I'll second that. No.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda with the exception of moving item 8, public input, to between item 5 and item 6. Is there any discussion?
Who seconded that, please?
I did.
Oh, thank you.
If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move on to the community center update. And I believe that Kelsey and Landon are both here, and we're asking for some updates on how things are. It's up to you. You don't have to get up at the podium. You can.
You don't have to get up there, he said.
Okay. Well, anyway, thank you guys for letting us come tonight. As we've done our trial run as co-managers, we feel greatly appreciated about it. I think we're doing a great job. Just a couple things, or a few things that we've done. We started a brand new menu. We added things, changes some things. We've had a lot of kitchen drama since we started, but we finally got that covered, and they're doing an excellent job. We started doing lunch specials, and then we're going to start doing nightly specials, hopefully by next week. We've been doing some inventory, some food waste sheets as well. A big concern we have, or Kelsey or I, have we heard from the construction contractors at all? We'd like to get the paint done, the cracks fixed, that AC unit in the storage room completed. Where are we at on that?
I'm in communication with Jim, but I don't have a date for you.
Okay. Kelsey and I are trying our best to keep wages down if we've been slow or busy. And we also have a Valentine dinner coming up at the Clubhouse Grill. There's a flyer posted on one of these doors coming into the city office. It's been on Facebook. It'll be going in the newspaper hopefully this week, I think. I emailed Cindy. That's all I got for now. Any questions, concerns from us?
And sponsorship letters went out this week as well,
Yes.
both for golf cart,
T-box sign.
T-box signs, and
Scorecards.
scorecards.
So you two take care of that too then? Or that will go through you, like you guys?
We mailed them out, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Are you gonna try the bingo? Or you don't know yet?
We have a few ideas in mind, but
We would
We
like
just gotta-
to, but Pink Ladies is having their bingo
Yeah, I seen that.
this
We'll see how that
weekend. So
goes.
we'll see how that goes, and then maybe February sometime, early March. We'll give it a whirl, see how it goes. I think it'll be fun. Give the public a reason to get out and interact and something to do.
Yeah, I think that's what that's our biggest concern. And I talked to Landon about it too, is we gotta get this out of the hole. We wanna say this year, but it's only been year one. So we want to, hopefully, we'll get better.
I mean, right now we have 19 events scheduled for 23. That's with 6 weddings.
Oh, good,
So, I mean, it's slowly
good
coming.
deal.
I heard a little rumor about the possibility of a mystery dinner or something like that, mystery dinner type thing.
Yep, and maybe a comedian.
I mean, you could do all kinds of things like that.
Oh, we have tons of ideas. We've
I'm
just
sure.
been choosing our battles to start with, because we had bigger fish to fry in the beginning.
Yeah.
But now that all of those kinks are worked out, now we'll
Do you
have more
feel
time
your
to
cook
focus on.
part is sufficient, or is there still concerns there?
Sorry,
Do you have
Carla, what was
enough
that?
cooks?
Or cooks.
Cooks. I think they're doing a great job.
But do you have enough? Do you think it's working out?
It's hard.
Well, it's basketball season right now too, so we lose a
Right.
lot of employees multiple days a week, so that makes it hard. But I think once that's over, we'll be sitting fine.
The only, I've just heard a few, is the wait time. The wait time when they order. So that's how come I was asking, do you feel that
Well,
you
I
got
think,
enough in the back to push it out?
I think that's improved with the 2 new hires.
Okay,
I've had nothing but compliments when they
Good.
work, how fast
Good.
the food comes out and how good it is, so.
good. So, all I needed to know.
Okay.
And no real filter issues or fire alarm issues. I mean,
So far,
I'm
so far
thinking
good.
snow flying actually had a positive effect. There was something that was said about when it rained, it seemed to be kind of a trigger.
Yeah,
The moisture they were talking about.
yeah, the
Yeah.
moisture and, filters were changed 3
28th.
weeks ago, the 28th. So they're due to be changed this week, beginning of next, so we'll get that done again. But yeah, no issues since.
And the cleaning is working out for you guys?
Yeah, I think so.
Since it's been slower, it helps probably. but-
Yeah. Yep. Because Landon's there till 4 every day. So we have in the morning, and then we have from 2 to 4 where we'll tackle the big stuff together.
Okay.
While the kitchen's closed and we don't have to worry about diners right now, so.
Can the kids help you out, like, when you do these big events? Will they be able to help you at all?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
The event hall they will vacuum or.
I put them to work yesterday, so.
Oh, good, good.
Yep.
And some of those things that were kind of mentioned that were maybe, I don't know, cleanliness issues, do you feel that they've been addressed well? And
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I did give them in their packet a copy of the letter and a copy of the card for Grossenberg Implement, if you want to talk about that at all.
These it's the company that just bought John Deere in Beersford. They called me one evening last week and asked if, when they have a big sell, if they can put a $25 meal card to the clubhouse in the thank you letter that they send the customer. So it's nothing out of pocket for us. It'll bring us business. And then once a month or however often, we send them back the meal card and they send us a check.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
it is.
So I'm all for it.
Oh, yeah, I would be.
I mean, we're not losing
You're not out of
anything,
anything, no.
right?
No.
Do you foresee anything for spring that you're gonna, that's a problem? I mean, as far as something you need or something that's, are we pretty much covered? Like we've got the sound thing on the wall, the PA system works, right? Now, so those little bug things, you feel we've got under control.
Maybe a filter for the fryers, what was it called?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oil filtration or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, the filter for the actual oil.
Yeah.
Just to keep it lasting
Because you
longer.
can do
Yeah.
it, yeah, you can do it every night and it keeps the oil fresher longer.
Yeah.
Mike's really pushing for that, so.
and this is something I just learned dealing with the bar issue with the ice machine. When I was looking into it, it said that it does need to be cleaned monthly. Do we have stuff up there that?
We ordered something.
We just started.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Because I had never heard of that. So, all
Yep.
right.
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah. So do we have anything, we don't need to make any motion about this meal thing then?
I think we should, I put it on there, but I mean, it's no out of pocket to the.
I'll make a motion to accept the diner card for $25. Let's see, Grossenberg meal ticket promotion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve Grossenberg meal ticket promotion for the Clubhouse Grill. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I will make a motion to go to executive session SDCL 125-2, personnel.
I'll second that.
You meant 1-25-2.
-1. Okay.
And that would be personnel, that's
Yeah.
the classification. Motion's been made to enter into executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2, parent 1, personnel. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it is 6:13 PM.
Pretty bad. Oh, no. I don't need it. They do have a bowl of mints over there. I seen that on the way in.
I'm gonna wait just a minute for Cindy to get back. Indisposed. All right. She's not seated, but she's back, so we are going to come out of executive session at 6:38 PM. What kind of business would you like to do, if any?
I will make a motion to modify the 2023 wages for Lincoln Burke, correct? Who is going to be back to just being a dishwasher. back to $11 an hour, and to increase Kelsey Erickson's management position to $17 an hour.
I'll second that.
Do you have an effective date for any of this?
We'll go back to January 9th.
And Lincoln went from, oh, he went down $1, okay. Oh. Motion's been made and seconded to move Lincoln Burke from the cook position to dishwasher position and reduce his salary from $12 an hour to $11, and to increase Kelsey Erickson's salary to $17 per hour. Is there any discussion? Oh, effective January 9th, 2023. Is there any discussion? Not? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We'll move on to item number 5. We have a gentleman by the name of Jeff Conrad with us tonight. I don't know if you want
I'll come stand up here.
to stand right in the middle and
Wave my arms in like an orchestra? Yeah. That's fine. I'll come stand up at the podium. A few minutes of fame. All right. Well, my name's Jeff Conrad. I am applying for the part-time police officer position. I'm originally from the Minneapolis area. I grew up in Bloomington, Minnesota. I received my 4-year undergrad from St. Cloud State, criminal justice focused in law enforcement. I was certified in Minnesota Peace Officer Standards and Training Law Enforcement Certification in 2015. Started out as a corrections officer and a dispatcher for Traverse County, which is, if you kind of know the lakes area, Big Stone, Lake Traverse, Minnesota side there. Did that for 8-ish months or so. Don't quote me, my resume might say a little bit different, but roughly that time. And so 3,500 people in the county, was looking to go to truly God's country, and here I am in South Dakota. And I found myself in Brookings, not sure if I was going to continue the law enforcement thing, because Minnesota, when I was applying, I mean, there was anywhere from 50 to 200 people applying for a single job. When I came here, I realized that was absolutely not the case. It was very, very much less. And so I worked for SDSU Police Department for a little over 2.5 years. Had a great time doing that. Great bunch of guys and gals that work for that department. It was fun at first dealing with college students, as we can understand. And after 2.5 years, I had enough of that trick and pony show. I also realized I was getting older, and they stayed the same age, and I couldn't chase after them. And so I switched over to Brookings County February of 2019. Where I served under Sheriff Stanwyck, and had a great time there. I really do like the county life. I like being able to work in towns that are 800 people. Like I said, I started in a 1,500 person town. So coming back to kind of those small town roots is something that I like, even though I grew up in a city of 100,000. So after about 3 years in that time, I had obtained quite a few certifications. Had gone through various upper level education courses and administrational stuff. I decided that I was going to put my family first and walk away from that full-time lifestyle, and had a few run-ins with some semis on the interstate that I wasn't going to win that battle. So I walked away from that, and I actually work for a company called Central Square Technologies. They are based out of Lake Mary, Florida. We do have an office in Sioux Falls. I'm never going in there because I can work from home. And I type on my keyboard every single day as a customer success manager. I currently, so it's a public safety technology company, if I hadn't stated that. And we cover thousands of agencies on the public administration side of things and public safety and justice. And I cover a fairly large portfolio doing that, working with public safety agencies. And so I have a lot of that afforded time. So we have the ability to set our schedule, set our metrics, set our goals. And then when you meet those goals, a lot of people have hobbies. Some people like to go hunt and fish. I do that as well. But I also like going back to the community roots of things. And so when I had somebody come to talk to me about the needs of Alcester, I was very quick to jump on my feet and start that conversation. Because I do think that we can somewhat agree that law enforcement and public safety is important. Obviously, for the community's needs, we draw the line somewhere. But if I can find my resources and my knowledge and my training to come to a service for your community, that's what I'm about. Are there any questions? I could talk for an hour. So
Do you have a guesstimate of the amount of time that you probably would be available?
Truly, I don't have any hobbies, so this would be it. I do have a lot of time to be able to be down here and work. As far as now, if you're talking years, I'm pretty flexible on it. I would love to step in and do this at a part-time capacity because I still have the passion for it, right? I like helping people. I like small communities and keeping small communities safe. The whole danger side of the thing doesn't scare me whatsoever. So I would foresee a very long journey on that and like to do it as long as I can. It's my long-winded version.
That's what he's probably trying to ask is like, are you looking for 1 day a week, or are you looking for a couple days a week, couple afternoons,
Yeah,
weekends?
Right now, obviously, we understand the bluntness of there's a need for it and there's nobody to work it, right? I understand that there is one part-timer, maybe two, that's going to be discontinuing here shortly. And so, I would like to be able to, for now, fill in as much as I can, where I can, to keep the community safe, right, and service the community the best I can. And it also gets, the old muscle memory back going, and, do that to keep my certification. So it really is a dual win on both sides. So a couple days a week for now. And then obviously when you have the opportunity to bring on a chief and hopefully a full-timer, then we can reconvene and have that conversation of where I can still continue to help, but maybe in a lesser role.
Would those couple days be like a strict schedule, Tuesday and Friday, or would you throw in an odd Wednesday? Or the thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make people that are unwilling to follow the law unaware of when you're going to be here.
So I'm going to tell you that I won't tell you what days of the week I'm working then. Truly, so in respects to my full-time job, I have to obviously stay on top of that because that keeps the lights on currently. So as long as I don't have days where I'm tied up in virtual meetings, which I don't love to begin with, I would love to spend some of my time down here. My wife is actually a Sioux Falls police officer, so she's gone most of the time anyway doing her thing, and we don't have a dog yet, so I'm mostly at home by myself. So I can use that time wisely. If you can't tell, I crack a few jokes, so I apologize.
That's okay. So you'd never be interested in full-time at this point?
Again, in respects to my company, they pay me very well.
Okay.
So,
Just
yes,
asking.
I appreciate it.
And we are a customer of Zerker.
Yes. I looked the other day so I could come in with all my notes and I got them in my back pocket. No, I'm kidding. No, but I was able to look at that, and it also is a partnership, right? So obviously, from maybe a city council's perspective, from a 30,000 foot view, you understand that you have the Zerker, which is now Central Square System. But truly you need someone that's a subject matter expert. Well, not only was I an end user of that system for 6 years, but I also worked for the company. So in respects to the city council and the community members, if you look at it one day and go, the prices have raised, are we really getting the most out of our dollar? Well, now you have somebody that works for the company that can go, you know what, you are spending it wisely, or you know what, no, we can make some changes. Because truly, in a small town, every penny counts.
I have a question to ask if I'm allowed. Coming into a small town that you didn't grow up in and are not from, how do you propose moving forward as a part-time officer, learning the community and learning the community members when most of your interactions are going to be potentially negative in their foresight?
Yeah,
So how do you propose to get to know the community and what it looks like outside of the police car?
And that is the million-dollar question. Thank you for asking. So truly, you know, early on in my career, I was a stop everything that moves kind of a guy. If it was 4 over, I was going to find a way to have a conversation. Now, sometimes that might be necessary, right, for community safety. However, the biggest thing is having the city's trust. So coming in and working part-time, I'm a night owl. I could certainly come in and work 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. But what justice does that do to your community members? So after year 2 at the Sheriff's Office in Brookings, in Volga, which is just west of Brookings, I found that the older gentlemen of the town like to have coffee at 6:30 in the morning. Well, when I was working at 6 o'clock, I could go in and have coffee with them. And I'll tell you one thing, I learned more about what's going on in the city by having coffee at a gas station than any investigation that I ever put forth. So, and I wanted to hire those guys as investigators. So truly to come in, and I know one thing that small communities have is themselves. And if there isn't a trust with somebody that's an outsider, number one, you're not gonna, in a time of need, you're not gonna trust them. You're not gonna be able to rely on them. So being able to come in and have candid conversations, not ones that are dependent upon calling 911 or an incident, that's how you build bonds.
Thank you.
And on that level, we have the K through 12 school in town, and I know that was one of the big things for our previous officer, that they would spend time in there getting to know the kids and stuff like that. Like, how do you feel about something like that?
Yeah, so again,
One day a week,
you know,
a couple days.
to lay it down as clearly as I can without giving up my full schedule, is I would like to start out with having those community conversations and being able to come in during the day. So having the flexibility without having to have a 2-week schedule, right? Because right now I'm flying by the seat of my pants, truly. Being able to come in, and I'm guessing school starts at 7:45?
8.
8? Okay.
15 or something.
Okay, so roughly 8 o'clock. So being able to come in and patrol those school zones for one, right? And being able to have the parents see that we're out. And then going into the schools as school starts, being able to see kids early in the morning before that after lunch, tire sets in, I think is important. So I will absolutely put forth that effort when I can come in during the day. And that's kind of what I plan on doing for now. Because truly I think seeing a marked patrol vehicle driving around town during the day is a peace of mind in some sense. It feels good to see good, well-rounded law enforcement in your community out. And, nighttime I can be driving, but you're all sleeping anyway. So I hope that answers your question.
Yep. Yep.
That was what I was gonna ask.
Absolutely.
Well, we've got specific guidelines, you're already certified, excuse me. We've got specific guidelines referring to salary for a part-time officer. Not that we don't appreciate the experience, but probably would start at that value for an hourly wage. I don't know what it is exactly.
1881.
1881. It was a good year.
Sounds good to me.
I think that would probably be where it would start. Now, the reason I'm having this conversation now is I don't think we need to have an executive session here. I think that this gentleman is very well prepared. I think we need some presence. Now, I may be wrong. I don't get to decide whether we're going to have an executive session either, or anyway, but what do you think?
This is just for his defense. So who does he talk to? You, Cindy?
Well, yeah, it'd be it depends on what it's about. If he wants somebody to ride along with him, he has to have that approved by the mayor. If he wants overtime, which usually is not a problem, he has to talk to the mayor. But you can talk to the safety committee individuals, any of them. You can also talk to the finance officer.
So like, does he let Pat know I'm working 2 days a week, or that, do we know?
Well, his time card is going to be, I mean, she has the ability to see exactly when he's punched in.
And he'd use our car and stuff, correct?
Right. Car or pickup.
Pickup,
if it's
whatever.
Yeah, and so
10 inches of snow.
now we also understand, and we're in the year 2023, we understand transparency is key, right? So there are some functionalities that I can tell you that are available to me as a working officer that would be providable to the council, to a specific person or the entire council. We can create reports and metrics as far as time worked. So that also keeps accountability for me, but if the community doesn't see me, driving around and I say I worked 40 hours, obviously there's a discrepancy there, right? And I know that could be a fear. Again, being an outsider, right, could be a prevalent fear. And so having those candid conversations, whether it be in an executive session with all of you, but I also like to keep transparency with the community as best I can. So there are ways to safeguard against that. I can be assisting of that to help you along, or we can.
Because we don't know, this is kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
not
Right,
having-
and so being able to come in also during the day, I also, I understand there's full-time jobs aside from this, but I am very flexible. My phone's always on, and when I'm here, I can stop wherever to have those conversations. Because they're gonna be ongoing, I think, for a little while.
Yeah.
Things are uneasy right now, so we're gonna work through that together.
So if an emergency was to come up, what do you, about 35, did you say?
35 minutes, yeah. So it's one of those things. So, I'm sure we understand from one aspect, SDCL does set forth felonious acts. So the county is required by state law to cover felony level crimes. And it sounds like, they're gonna have to cover it, right, if there's nobody available. But making myself available as much as I can to be down here during the interim is what I can do. Now, we run into the quandary of, well, what if I'm not here and there's nobody available? We're gonna have to maybe have that conversation, and it's gonna take some brainstorming because unfortunately, South Dakota law doesn't have an expanded chapter on this. It's kind of vague. So that might have to come up at a later time when we brainstorm. But when I'm here, I'm here. When I'm not, and fingers crossed that nothing goes wrong when I'm not.
And it's better than not having anybody.
Right.
So
Much
that's-
better. You have a vest, you have.
Yeah, so currently I have everything needed other than a radio and a taser and some patches is all I need. Everything else, I'm a gear junkie. I've got boxes full of stuff. My wife doesn't love it.
Do we have that?
We should have all that
Yeah,
done.
we should. Well, the inventory probably was done when everyone vacated.
So, and if comfortable, if the council's comfortable with it, I know the other part-timer, Colton, and I have been in conversation. And so, he has experience too, and he understands how these things work. And so, if approved by the council, I would work with him to get all the things necessary and lined up. Like I said, kind of in my starting statement is I do have some administrational background in working for SDSU. So I can work on some things that the council might not have much knowledge on to be able to get in line with the county and the dispatch center, the swearing in. There's lots of things you got to do that I can be of assistance as well.
So, how are we gonna work out that? My question went to Pat earlier was, so if the city office is closed, where do they get, because Colton has his keys. So do we give him a set of keys? Because I just don't see how he could come here to get keys.
No.
Especially if he did work a weekend and we're closed, the office is closed. So,
And that's fine. I can get in the code to the city shop and then a key to the police department office.
And then I did want to follow up on that. If approved by the council, this coming Saturday, I know that I had been in conversation with Colton and he was going to follow up with somebody about it, but and meet with him possibly on Saturday to do some of the behind the scenes things, so that the following week we can hit the ground running.
because Colton does have all the other information.
Oh,
That, as far as the evidence and all the passwords and stuff.
okay.
Well, it sounds like we're good to go here. I
Yeah.
motion to hire Jeffrey Conrad as part-time police officer at $18.81, effective immediately.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to hire Jeff Conrad, as part-time police officer at $18.81 an hour, effective immediately. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
All right, as we talked about, we're going to move public input up to this point, and I'm asking for public input.
I have public input. A couple of things. It has to do with the agenda placement. Public input is usually put ahead of anything that you guys are going to vote on. I've provided you with two places where you can see how that's laid out. And it's for, again, clarity, transparency, so that that people in town can be at the meeting and voice their opinion on a particular subject that you may be entertaining. For that. We need a wards map and a petition informational on the website. So anybody running for council, they can go and say, okay, I see where my house lies within the ward map. That needs to be out there.
It's on the website.
Is it now?
It was on the website after our last council meeting.
Well, it needs to be on there the whole time. But anyhow, I did look up the Board of Water and Natural Resources. I'm a little skeptical on why we're trying to get money moved from one entity to another. It has to do with, I'm assuming, a grant with one, and you're looking to getting permission to spend the money from that grant on the update. I'm not sure. That's real vague and iffy. That's my opinion. The other thing is for the brevity and people coming to the meeting that are residents and they want to express their opinions and stuff, if they have to sit through executive session after executive session after executive session, you're clouding the issue. It's not clarity, and they get tired of being left out. So things like the community center update and stuff like that, I don't think that's necessary. You get together, if you're going to trust Landon and Kelsey, go with them. Let them make the decisions. They have to work with these people. If they need to have your approval, that's one thing. They just come to you and say, we want to hire this guy. You don't need to go into executive session or whatever. Trust them to give you the straight poop. And I think that's just about everything. Oh, one last thing. The mayor is the chief law enforcement agent in a community like Alcester. The other thing that you can consider is a mutual aid. If you cut a deal with like Beersford or whatever that's closer, if you cut a deal with them, if you need mutual aid, you can send out a call and possibly get an officer from Beersford to aid our officers. That's an option that you've got. The ambulance ran that a lot, that if we needed mutual aid, we could call in Beersford or we could call in Hayward or whatever. That's one of your options. Okay, that's everything I have.
Is there any other public input?
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay.
bring up a couple things. I'm about half asleep tonight. I've had a long day, but bear with me, please. I was just kicking some things around in my head. And I know I heard that there's discussion about buying or trading with Billy Lynn for land down on that end for development. I don't know if that is the case or where you're at with that or what you're thinking, but for the long-term growth of the community, would we be better off And there again, I know it's talking about spending some money, but would we be better off getting grants for a lift station up north and develop, and maybe put homes up on the north end of the golf course? Because boy, it seems like people like to build around these golf courses, right? And a lot of times you get some high-end homes. I would think that'd bring in more income to the community. Nothing wrong with that property over there. I mean, it'd be easy to develop and probably an easier thing to get done. But I think you could sell a lot of lots out there real quick if a person could come up with that property. I don't know who owns it or anything, but, and I'm sure this has been kicked around maybe by you guys in the past, I don't know. But if we had a lift station up on that end, you'd also open it up to the possibility of having some industry come in, because you'd have things set to go there. What this would cost, whether we could afford it or not, I don't know, but it's something you should consider before you do that. I don't know, I'm just thinking. It's a little dangerous, but I think on occasion. Okay, and then, I know we aren't talking about a lot of property, but the old clubhouse, would that be better off if it was taken out and maybe put it up for sale for a home or two? I don't know how much land is actually there, but I'm sure there's some money to be made there quick. Maybe put it towards a lift station. I'm just kicking things around. Whether it's doable or not, I don't know, but think about it. I think there's a few other things I kind of was thinking about, but I had such a long and busy day, I just didn't get everything put together. I'm just trying to help you guys. I'm not here to cause anybody any problems tonight or anything of that nature. I'm not going to throw the podium at anybody. It wasn't me anyway. But anyway, I'll let it go at that, okay?
Thank you.
For tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public input?
Travis, that's on.
Well, my name is Travis Robinson, and I'm actually getting married April 22nd, and I have reserved the community center here in Alcester, and on that date, we'd like to set off some fireworks. So I'm here to, it's not necessarily in the agenda today, but at least to ask some questions on what I need to ask the pyrotechnicians on how big it is. It's a consumer size show, but it is choreographed to music, so where we can have it. I've talked to Pat, and he said he could have a truck there. Said that the dry weather shouldn't be affected with all the snow that we've still got. Should be moist out there. And any other questions that I guess I need to ask that I haven't thought of, I guess I'm here doing some reconnaissance works for hopefully getting an okay on the next one. So,
When did you say you're getting married?
April 22nd, Earth Day. Earth Day. So yeah, that day, well, 2 days after that, April 24th is when I had my accident, 1994. I'm originally from Akron. Fell asleep driving after prom when I was 16. Wasn't drinking. About a mile away from home, had my seatbelt on, just dozed off. So it's God's plan. And it just so happens that that night, April 22nd, the Akron Fire Department's having their fireman's dance. Normally I would, but my second option was Alcester, because I love Alcester just as much as I love Akron. You guys have a beautiful community. I want to keep it beautiful. I want to leave it just the way I found it. It's one of those scenarios where it's going to be a day of celebration, and I hope to get the firework permit or signature or whatever needs to be done.
If I heard your mom right, or you,
Yes.
the person that's gonna shoot your fireworks has done that, right?
They're licensed, both.
They're
of them.
licensed, yeah.
Yep.
And so they do the cleanup and everything with it?
Affirmative, yep.
Okay.
Are you thinking you want to shoot them off on the north side of the patio then? So you'll have your guests come out to the deck?
Well, I wanted to talk with Pat a little bit, and I would like the folks to be able to see it from the patio, wherever Pat would think would be the safest. place to shoot them without safeties first. You know, it's one of those scenarios where, and you know, where nothing's gonna be in the line of fire or anything of that nature. Yeah, I've been through 5 shows just this year that they've put on that have been remarkable, and we'll have drones up, given the airspace, no restricted airspace. We'll have some waivers for that. They're both licensed. It'll be all consumer fireworks, but it'll look like a professional show. It'll look like it's a professional grade fireworks show. So. And there will be a
Like
lot
you
of
said,
people.
we don't have to act on this tonight, but.
No, it's just, I mean, if you guys,
Keep your minds-
and what I'll do is primarily is hopefully get on the next agenda, and if you guys have any questions that I need to have answered through the pyrotechnicians, then I'd be able to answer them or have them hopefully with me that next meeting, so.
So our next meeting is February 6th, also at 6 o'clock.
I will pencil
And
that in.
so I will put you on the agenda and we'll come up with some questions.
Yeah, your guys' webpage is very thorough, I like it.
Mayor, at the last meeting, you said that you had questions about the legal attributes of it and you wanted to ask the attorney who was not present. Have you done so? Have those been resolved in
You mean
communicating?
about shooting off fireworks in April as opposed to January 1st, or I should say January 31st, December 31st, January 1st, excuse me, and 4th of July?
I guess I haven't, this is the first that I've heard about it. I know Sam's out here and busy. This is the first that I've heard about a fireworks issue. So I'd have to do a little research on that and get back to you.
Good question, and it's something that we would have to look into, and we'll do that.
Second question, if the meeting agenda was affirmed today, then why does he not know about it?
Well, this is public input. This is all,
I'm just asking for his sake because he wasn't
right, but this
here.
is all coming right directly from,
Okay.
Travis did not let me know he was coming to the meeting tonight. I thought he was coming at our first meeting.
Yeah,
And
last
so
week,
he was
or
on
2
the
weeks ago.
agenda prior to that, but I never heard from him, so. But now I know that he will
We're
be
all
here
on the same
for
page, yeah,
February 6th.
absolutely.
Thank you.
any other public input?
I also was talked to by a couple people that they are possibly interested in the golf course house. And
The actual building,
the building,
yeah.
we'd ever be interested in platting it off and then putting it up for, what do we call it, what do we have to do? Surplus. For bids. So it would be something to maybe think about.
And they would build it or renovate it and leave it there? I see.
On the golf course. On the
Where he
golf
wants
course.
to be.
Yeah.
And what do they call these vacational places, if anybody? Airbnb, yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Is somebody interested in putting something like that, or? in-
Maybe that's what it is. You don't know.
You know. Well, there's a lot of possibilities. Think about it.
I know I heard a voice when Darla started speaking, there was more public input?
I think that was Carrie.
Oh, I'm
Did I say something?
You started to. I
Like said,
heard
I'm so tired, I
Jeff.
don't know what ends up right now.
If there is no other public input, we're going to go on to item number 6. And Austin Phelps is with us for the first time here. And I guess you maybe want to kind of let the folks know
Yeah.
why you're here instead of Sam, or not necessarily instead of.
Yeah, so I'm Sam's associate attorney. I was just hired on by Freeburg Nelson Ask in August. Passed the bar, everything good to go. This is Sam's busy time since he's in here and lobbying on behalf of a lot of different firms. So in the meantime, whenever he can't be at these meetings, I think the expectation is that I will be here instead of him. As far as it goes, I know there was some discussion last time about attendance from city attorney. Our goal is to have somebody here every time. I think there was a mix-up last time. But as for the foreseeable future, I think that's our plan until something else is agreed upon. Specifically for legal updates, besides the things that were specifically listed in the agenda, I guess what specific questions were there from the council? I didn't have anything, nor was I put on notice of anything. Besides that, if there are any questions.
Have you, so you don't know anything about this direct deposit payroll?
Correct.
situation?
Besides the agenda, if there's anything besides.
Okay,
it
I
says-
see. Okay.
It just says updates. I don't have anything new, but for the direct deposit payroll approval, I was sent an option A and an option B, which pretty much just adds additional details in option B. As for what's more prudent for the city, first of all, if these are sent out, it needs to be password protected, and I know Pat and I have talked about that. And that's something that is, as long as it can be done, just to try to protect any information would be extremely helpful. As for option A compared to option B, that's more up to the council to determine what information they specifically want. The one version just specifies different taxes and lists them out individually. And also the distribution, just of where a person works. However, given the small workforce, I don't know how necessary that is, and I know Pat had discussed that option A seemed the most, or the easiest and the most helpful for her. So I guess as far as a recommendation, I would defer to you, but I would lean more towards option A.
So it's just a question of, for the people that are approving payroll for the direct deposit, what information do you want to see? Are you okay with just seeing name, check number, gross amount, taxes, and net, and then you see the total? Or would you rather see the full breakdown of what is sick, what is vacation, what is?
I guess it'd be the same thing you would look at if we were signing a check, you know? So I mean, whatever's on that, I'd be fine with okaying it the same way. And if we have any further questions.
I mean, it doesn't really matter to us if it's vacation pay or if.
Because you usually give us an update of the vacation account, you know, anyway.
I do, and, you know, employees, if they do hit overtime, are supposed to alert the mayor or their committee chair. So if there was a significant increase for some reason, some catastrophe, or like this snowfall that happened,
Yeah.
they
So
would-
do they let you know that they're working longer? or no?
Well, in this case with the snow, they
We
didn't,
don't.
because they
No.
started at
Right.
3:30 in the morning. I mean, they let me know, but it was accidental.
Yeah.
But they did so good, because,
Well, they
Lonnie only
did,
had-
I mean, sometimes it's just hard to do that.
And Lonnie only had 2 hours and Dale had 5.
Yeah,
And
they did a really
considering
good
he does
job.
weekend wastewater work, that's not bad.
No. Well, I've signed off on the last two with the,
Dongle and.
that what little
Token,
thing.
token.
That's it, it's a token.
And it was fine with me just looking right down and seeing the numbers because we signed the warrants. So to me, it was, I kind of knew from signing the warrants, so it wasn't anything real earth shattering to me. So I don't know about you guys.
Abigail thought option A was very similar to what the ACH file looks like.
Yeah, that's
That
what
you
it looks
review.
like, yeah.
So if you guys are in agreement with that, we would stop the second token. Abigail would submit payroll with the first token, and then this file would be emailed out to the 3 of you. And somebody could log on and give their okay.
So we wouldn't have to do the token back to the bank, correct?
Correct.
Because today, the guy calls me, and I said, well, I don't even have have it. He already called to have it approved. I said, well, I haven't even looked yet. I mean, he called like instant. It must have been the minute you called, he called me. And I said, well, you gotta give me a half an hour to, go through this, and he did. I don't know, that step to me was,
And these guys haven't had the joy yet.
we don't need that step.
So I would need a motion, because the bank, I'm sure will need that motion for approving it, if that's where your
And I
comfort zone
did
is.
talk to Dawn at the bank about this, and she said, yes, you are the city, but no other business does it this way, so it's our option. Yeah. Oh, you asked her too? Yeah.
So I didn't actually put a line per se, but you can word your motion and, just so I can get it in the minutes for the bank.
Well, I'll make a motion to go to direct deposit payroll option A. Is that all you need? Option A for payroll
With just one token approval.
with just one token approval. So then we won't need tokens, correct? Or
Correct.
Anymore, right?
Correct.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded regarding direct deposit payroll approval to go with option A with just one token approval. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So, how about the nuisance update situation?
I have a little update about that. Sam specifically, I just got off the phone with him before I came over here. He has more to this and has been in contact with the other party more about this. From what my understanding is we're gathering options right now, and Sam felt that he wanted to give a little more time to allow the individual to try to find some alternative funding for the nuisance. However, given that timeline has stretched out so far, the next step would be to go to the court and potentially get a writ, which would essentially be an order to allow the city to demolish the nuisance.
What's the property of the nuisance?
What's the address on it? It's,
307 Iowa.
yep.
Thank you.
Is that the council's wishes after the last meeting?
To demolish the guy's house? No.
And I would point out that Sam was optimistic that there would be a potential through different specific, I don't remember the funds that he was discussing. There were like 4 different chances for some low interest loans that the individual had the opportunity to seek out that would allow him, I think, a successful chance to rectify any issues that are currently with the house. So it's kind of just a wait and see game. Obviously, the longer it stretches out, the problem is still there, unfortunately, but as far as whatever the council wishes, that's what I have for an update.
And Sam's had some dialogue with the owner of the property regarding these options, or will be?
Yes, no,
He already has.
yeah, there has been talks.
Okay. Well, Kyle, you flat out said, no, we don't want it demolished, so obviously we wouldn't want to move forward with that writ from the court. So really, the only other alternative is to allow flexibility for more time, so. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion.
So does that mean you don't want the attorneys to work on anything regarding that property?
I think it was like 3 meetings ago we had this discussion. Didn't we say we were gonna give him till the end of 2023 to get the outside buttoned up?
I thought so.
So, where are we going? I mean, what are we on now, I guess?
Because I feel that the outside he needs to work on. That's more what I'm concerned. If he wants to live the way he wants to live, I don't think that I don't feel right, you know, saying to have all of it that was mentioned fixed. I think he needs to fix the outside and that we need to give him some time. I mean, and we said till the end of 2023, I think that's plenty of time.
So is that what you would like the attorneys to draft a letter stating that, so the property owner is aware?
Well, no, we already voted on this. I mean, I don't have my minutes with me from that meeting, but I think that's what the discussion was, is that the attorney was gonna give him till the end of the year to do the outside.
I don't remember the date. I know we were talking about giving him more time. So
I guess that's what I think, just,
No, and I'm,
basically,
I'll draft a letter to the owner just to, and I'll go back and look at the minutes just to make sure that, and see if there was a date. If there was a date, we'll just reiterate it. If it's something different, I think that's something that you'd want to reconvene and discuss.
I would say just if it's not done by the end of the 2023, then we can move on forward with something like this.
I agree with that. But I do applaud any dialogue that can be had that'll help him rectify the situation. I mean, obviously, his neighbors want this taken care of.
Yeah, I think that's difficult because I obviously wasn't in those conversations, and I know Sam would have more. But specifically, I'll discuss with him afterwards and kind of get a plan together. If we are going to wait, then I think it's prudent just to sit on it for a while, still give notice, and then check in on it occasionally just to see where we're at with it.
Anybody have any other questions for Austin that regard legal updates or legal issues?
So this might just, so let's say it's been told it's a safety concern. And we say, let's give it until the end of '23 and something happens. Then would we be liable?
I don't know that answer specifically, potentially. However, I don't want to make a definitive, I don't want to make a definitive determination without looking that up further.
Okay, because that would be my concern. I don't want something to happen to somebody's child or something to come back on the council and say,
You guys waited.
yeah, I mean, that's, I just would like to know that down the road. Because we've had trouble with other properties that took 3 years. And some of those got in pretty bad shape.
You really don't want to put a veteran out of his home.
No, and I don't want anybody to be out of their home.
Yeah.
But I don't want anybody's child to get killed either by falling in a hole or, you know, I don't know.
But if it's on his property, then it would be trespassing. Like it's his property, how
It would
would he
be,
be
I would
liable
think.
for that?
Well.
And you should have
never know, this
liability
thing
insurance too.
Yeah.
should cover it, yeah.
Some things to check into.
Yep, I will.
You mentioned right at the start about the statements that were made regarding our legal representative and whether we're going to have them here or not. And one of the things that we did discuss was the possibility of having the legal issues earlier in the meeting, so that if you did feel as if you were done, we could save some money, obviously. I mean, it's all about trying to save money, so.
Yeah, I know there was some dialogue, and I think, I've seen, that's the way we've done it for other cities before, Beersford and Canton specifically in the past. They move up legal, that way, at least our firm isn't costing, for me to sit here for 2-3 hours when we could sit here for an hour and save the city some money. So I know that's something that we discussed. I leave that up to the council, obviously. Even if we're not at the council meeting, we're still working outside of it. We have a pretty good working relationship with Pat, emailing us, and we're attacking these issues during the week, not necessarily at the city council meeting. I don't know how prudent it is. I know Mr. Nelson has shared the same concerns of a city attorney sitting here for the entire meeting and really only being needed for a part of it and costing the city additional money. So that's just something to think about.
One of the reasons I mention that is we're about ready to discuss number 7, the wastewater facility plan upgrade, and there are some legal situations there. Obviously, the ordinance, that's a second reading, so that's pretty much done. Anything else after this item number 7, I don't know what you feel about it, but, and I'm not saying we want you to get out of here, but we wouldn't mind saving some money if we can.
Yeah, and I'll leave that up to the council. If you don't feel like it's prudent or something like that, and additionally, we're always available via phone call too. So if there's something that pops up later in session that you guys are like, hey, we need to call city attorney about, I think, and then, we would only bill for that time on the phone call instead of sitting here the whole time.
Sure.
If I may ask one quick question. The reference was made to emails. I just got done reading an article about attorney emails with their client, and those being open record instances. So you may want to think about that.
Anything else that you'd like to ask him, or you'd like to ask us, or?
I don't have anything for this at least.
Okay. In that case, we're going to move on to item 7, the wastewater facility plant upgrade and the discussion.
And Tanya is here.
Yes.
Start.
I guess I don't know exactly how to start. I guess, obviously, there's going to be another bid process. Can you allude to, I don't know necessarily where the communication breakdown happened, but obviously there was a communication breakdown, and it wasn't necessarily done in the correct order. Is that probably a layman's way of saying this?
Yes, so South Dakota bid law requires that any bid be publicly advertised in the city's newspaper of record. And so that happened with the first bid, that the advertisement was sent to the city, it got published, it bid, but the bids came in high, so the city decided to rebid. With the second bid, the advertisement was sent to the city, but did not get sent to the paper, so it did not advertise in the newspaper of record. And so because of that, the state considers the bid to be void from a funding perspective. And so the contract is not valid, and so the project has to be rebid again in order, and it has to be advertised in the newspaper of record. So that's why tonight the advertisement for bid is before you. And so I don't know what background the council has, Mayor, if there's anything else that you want me to provide discussion on, any of the meetings that have occurred in the last couple weeks to coordinate with CCOG and the city and the state.
Well, everybody's got this sheet that says City of Alcester wastewater treatment facility project. That's kind of a timeline September 20th, 2020 through January 10th of this year.
Is that the one CCOG put together? Yeah. Yeah. And then the council also has in their packet the timeline moving forward that you put together.
This schedule here,
Mhm. And the one thing, so we did have discussions earlier this week, with CCOG and the DNR and myself, just to clarify a couple of things with the letter that's before you on the next agenda items, to make sure that that addressed everything the state wanted to address. But during that, as has been discussed before, the state brought up just concerns. If you follow that schedule to the letter, it would require the city to approve the award prior to the Board of Water and Natural Resources meeting on March 30th. So kind of an outline would be, it was going to advertise the 2nd and the 9th, open bids on the 23rd. The bid documents require, per state law, that the project be awarded within 30 days. That would be by March 25th, I think would be the calendar date. The Board of Water and Natural Resources does not meet until the 30th and 31st. So essentially the city would be committing to paying the funds before they had all of them, or recognizing that they had to pay for them out of their, if the Board of Water and Natural Resources didn't approve the scope change, that it would have to come out of city pockets or a different loan source. And so we brought that up in an email to Sam Nelson, and Sam, you were copied on that. And it indicated that he felt it would be better if the city would wait and do the award after the bid. Now, it's advantageous to go out for bid soon because hopefully you'll get better bidder numbers rather than waiting when contractors get busy and prices continue to escalate. But there's also that kind of confidence the city has knowing they have the funds available to do the project. And so he recommended delaying the project and doing a March 9th bid, which would allow you then, I believe the council meeting April the 6th. I didn't bring my calendar up here, but that first Monday, it would allow that to be approved at that meeting. And so that is the second advertisement that we emailed out, and I have a copy with to hand out since that was not the copy handed out in your packet. So if you want to take one and pass it around.
So if I gotta make sure I understand this right, and everybody that watches the videos. On the advertisement, it got to the paper, but it did not go in the paper, or what's the situation?
It got to the city,
Okay.
and the city didn't get it to the paper.
So it's on us that it didn't get advertised.
correct?
So the cost is, what are we looking at, $20,000 to rebid this?
I've got an amendment drafted, I don't have it to council, there's been some correspondence stating that will be coming. Right now, there's added cost to rebid, I think we've got that around $14,000 to rebid the project. And then just with some of the delays, because of, we bid it first back in June, and with the delays bidding it now, there's, our billing rate goes up every year, mileage rates have gone up, and so there's some added costs coming into construction administration and construction observation as well. And so if you total up the added cost for the same hours in the future years, it's going to be about a $59,000 amendment that we would come to the city and request. So we've got a letter that'll detail that out that we'll send you, and then we can sit down and talk about it. If the city really wants to try to cut that back, we could try to reduce some hours for observation, but we've got 16 hours a week right now, which is not a lot. And so you don't get the same level of service or watching if we're not there as much. And so 16 hours a week, we would be cutting back from that.
Yeah, I don't think that's wise.
So what the amendment, or what the advertisement for bid in front of you has, that was the timeline recommended by the city attorney, was to bid the 9th, so it would advertise on the 16th and 23rd, and we would have a pre-bid conference on the 28th of February.
Has there been any talks or thoughts about a lagoon system? rather than a wastewater treatment facility.
Yep, there were talks about that. That was evaluated as part of the facility plan. And the challenge with that is the city has to purchase the land to put the lagoon on. The state does not fund the loan to purchase the land. And so for the number of acres required and that capital cost upfront to purchase the land, it was not a lot cheaper than the option to rehabilitate the treatment plant.
That was a significant amount of land.
Yeah, it's a significant amount of
I
land.
can't remember how many acres it was, but it was quite a few.
You have to get I believe, trying to think of the other challenge in the Beersford area back in the report is some of the soil conditions are pretty tough around here. To get the clay and the material, you need to construct a well. And if you do have to add a geosynthetic liner, that's basically like a plastic liner that gets buried underneath that first layer of soil, that adds more cost. So it was looked at, it was considered, but just cost-wise, it didn't pencil out.
It was during the Shifty administration, when she was mayor. Care to look it up?
Oh, Abigail, you have something to say?
I just want to clarify one thing. The grant is secured for us. We're not losing the grant. Or the money
Yeah,
that was for us is for us. We just have to do the legwork again.
there's a long answer to a short question. So there's several grants involved with this project. So the the main funding, the $3.7 million from the DNR SRF program, that is secure. The other loan that was approved, the other grant that is not approved yet is a CDBG grant called the Community Development Block Grant. And it would be a $770,000 grant that the city would receive $750,000 after the fees come out. Now, that is in process right now. The environmental is finishing up. I don't know if that's been completed. It's very close if it hasn't. It should be by the end of this week at the latest. And then it would go to the governor's office for approval, and that can take a little while as well. But so it should be, but it's not finalized yet.
What's already been approved is
The
good.
3.7, yep, has been approved as good, and then there's another 770. And we'll get a little bit more into some of the dollars in the next agenda item, or if you want me to wait and just go into that before you approve this, we could do that as well, because that goes into the letter that was prepared for DNR that kind of lays out what money's been secured, what is needed for non-construction things, and what remains for construction costs.
That is maybe good information to have right now.
Yep.
If I may have permission to speak,
They-
they have, DNR announces funds for Alcester received $250,350 Clean Water Revolving Fund and a $1.418650 ARPA grant to televise its entire collection system to determine the condition of aging pipe and allow refinement in the areas identified upcoming sanitary sewer improvements. In addition, this project will include open-cut sanitary sewer replacement in multiple alleys. The loan terms are 2.125% for 30 years. This is an April 14th, 2022 article.
That was phase 2.
But that's money that they're talking about.
Actually, that's a separate loan. That is the collection system loan, and the money I was just referring to, that is $3.7 million, that's the treatment project loan.
Right.
So that was prior. Just wanted to make sure that was clear.
And the council does have that letter to Andy in their possession as well.
Okay. So just to kind of go through that, probably back, I want to say it was in July, that we had a conference call with the mayor and Pat, finance officer, and Mayor Hayter and myself to talk about the challenges with the project coming in over budget. This is not a situation unique to Alcester right now. Projects and bids are coming in high across the state. It's a challenging time right now because of the amount of projects, the number of contractors, equipment costs, supply demand. You might have even seen in the paper last week, they had a bridge come in, it was estimated around 10 million, came in at 20. So it's, and what I want to why I bring that up is because the DNR is seeing a number of communities come, and they are short on funds for what the project was estimated at and where the current estimate is at, or where the bids are at. And so there are many communities come back and to ask for additional loan funds because taking on the full kind of amount of deficit would be a burden for Alcester, the DNR actually suggested, because the collection system funds our wastewater and because the cost coming in higher on the wastewater treatment plant, it's the same system. And so what they suggested was one option would be to request the Board of Water and Natural Resources to allow those funds to be redirected, or the scope for those funds to be changed, to be allowed to use for the treatment plant. So it's not new, it's been talked about for, 5-6 months now. And so, what we came to it was now was the point to write the letter for the March 30th and 31st letter. We tried to provide some background in the letter on what the bid process has been for the city, where the cost came in at, and then if you look at the bottom of that first page, those bullets start to kind of lay out where the funds are going from that $3.7 million. So we've got two sources, a $3.7 million loan, the $770,000 CDBG grant, and then you have to subtract off the other fees. So for engineering, so all the way from design through bidding, through construction, so multi-year, that fee is $495,400. The amendment to rebid it the previous time was $15,591. The amendment that we've got that is drafted, so this is not approved, this amount is not definite what's coming out, it's just in here for an estimate for a placeholder, would be $59,500. Geotech services for the soil borings that were done was $5,400, and then the bond fees for the bond council to administer the closing of the loan and all the loan documents was $37,100. So if you take the grant and the loan package and put that together and subtract out those costs, that leaves you with available funds for construction with the CDBG grant of $3,846,000. Right now, I see that bid coming in around 5 or slightly higher with the current bidding climate. It's tough right now. And so if we assume 5 million, just for a nice round number for discussion purposes, that would leave the city with a deficit then of a little over $1 million. And so that's where if you take and redirect that 1.669 million for the collection system to the treatment plant project, you'd have enough funds to cover the project. The DNR asked that the letter stated then, just to make sure the public was aware, two things: that the sewer or the collection system project would not be pursued at this time, that a public hearing be scheduled to formally notify the public of that. And so that's something that would need to be done if the council wants to approve this letter, is to schedule that public hearing. And then there's some other language we had to include in there just to have it worded the way they wanted, that it was gonna be a scope change request, not a fund transfer.
Well, obviously, if we have a deficit of, we'll just say 1.1 million, and there's 1.6 million on the table that we could move, we're not gonna have $500,000 left over in our pockets.
Well, and the 5 million's an estimate. So I
Well-
think the comfort level the council maybe has is there's a cushion there. If it's coming a little higher, we've got a little wiggle room. But yeah, right now, 500,000 would be a pretty small scope for collection system improvements to get a contractor in and do much. If there are funds left, there could always be another request made to, maybe they would let you do the televising for the rest of the town to see if there was other areas, or do a small part of that work that was included with the phase 2 collection system improvements. But right now, you kind of have to say, we're not planning on it, just so that the public doesn't have any false expectations.
So the action that would be needed tonight would be a motion to approve the advertisement for bid on March 9th.
February 16th and February 23rd.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, March 9th is the actual bid. Okay.
Sam, I have a question. So was it to still go ahead with the second bid now or push it out then complete it at a later time, or per the recommendation.
The recommendation, or what we put together for the timeline, is that they would bid again
Now.
soon. And so essentially now means that you have to advertise.
Although it wouldn't be recognized by the 30th and 31st.
No, I think the clarification, just to make sure. So initially, we were trying to bid quickly,
Gotcha.
getting a bid by February 23rd. But per the advisement of, or the caution of the DNR, advisement of the city attorney, council, I believe, just approved doing a March 9th bid instead, which would, then you would not, then there'd be the 30 days after the 31st meeting, there'd be a 30-day window, so they would be able to wait and approve the award.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any discussion you'd like to have? If not, does anybody want to make a motion regarding the advertisement and the dealing with the letter?
Tanya, that last part that you sent out, I mean, is the first letter that was dated January 23rd, that goes to Andy, if the council votes to move forward, that's the one that the mayor can sign, or did that letter get updated?
That letter got updated.
Okay.
They
so-
want the, I think, I'm trying to remember who suggested it. I'll go back and read. I believe there was a sentence that was drafted to address the DNR concern.
Right, at the
And
end.
Sam recommended that get included.
Okay.
And so that came out, and then there was one spelling error
Oh.
that Harley caught, and so there was one more. So if you want, like, I can send you just like, so we have a clean version tomorrow.
That'd be good.
Just send an updated one tomorrow with tomorrow's date to go out, so that it's very clear that that's the correct one.
Perfect. Then I'll need your signature on that.
So what if it would come back 6 months?
6 million, then you'd have a deficit again. And then the city would have to decide if they would move forward with the project and cover the cost overrun on their own, or if they would go back to the DNR at the June meeting and ask for another loan. That would be the options you'd have at that time.
But does this jeopardize the grant, the big grant that we have? I mean, could we
No.
lose that?
The only way you would lose it is if you don't award the project.
Okay.
And then I would have to go back and look, there's no ARPA money in the tree, and this is where it gets confusing. The ARPA money has to be used within a 5-year window, and I'd wanna check the dates of when that timeline started. I don't know if you know any more for sure on that, but, okay, just checking. So when it starts, you've gotta complete it within 5 years. So that would be the only thing, because that was approved. If it's April 2022, you'd have to have the project completed, like everything done by 2027. But we're not up against that yet.
No.
So that would be the only thing right now that would impact that grant.
Because that's a big grant to lose if you.
You
Oh my
guys have a
gosh.
huge grant for both those projects. You have a ton of grant money.
And when we were on our conference call, DANR specifically said the money is there.
It is.
And most communities did not get the size of grant that Alcester got. So you have a very nice funding package.
Well, I'll make a motion to advertise for bid.
Second it.
And the dates?
Well, we're say again, February
16 and February 23rd.
February 16th and February 23rd.
Okay, so, in that case, a motion has been made to approve the advertisement for bids of this wastewater treatment project, February 16th and 23rd. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion does pass 3-1. Then there's a motion to approve Banner Engineering to draft and send a letter, excuse me, requesting BWNR to allow collection system project funds to be used for treatment facility improvements project and approval for B to sign the letter. For the mayor to sign the letter.
And I do have an updated copy with that sentence added in that paragraph to it. Helps a little like that. And I kind of walked through what the letter had in it, where I went through the funds and what had been deducted, but if anybody's got additional questions, I'd be happy to answer.
So what if you wouldn't get a bid? Then what?
You rebid again, or you delay you put the project on hold.
Which could happen,
I
right?
think the likelihood of getting at least one bid, the contractor that previously had gotten the bid is quite interested.
Because he's got it on his,
Yeah, so I think you'll get a bid. I just don't think it'll be 4.8 million anymore. I think there'll be an additional cost with the additional time.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing that would change would be the date, 24th.
Right, from the copy you just received, the only thing that would change today would be the date. And then I'm assuming you'd want to put it on city letterhead,
Right.
so.
I'll make a motion to Banner Engineering to draft and send letters to requesting BWNR to allow collection system project funds to be used for treatment facility improvements project and approval from Mayor Hayter to sign the letter.
You second? No, if you don't have a second, it's not gonna happen.
It dies from lack of second. The motion does.
Second?
I think we gotta table this a little bit. That's my opinion. This is a high price mistake. That's all I can say. Because not only that, we don't have the bid coming in where it was and we already accepted it at 4.8. I mean, it's, I guess I'm just, I don't know, a lot to think about.
Yeah, I agree. But let me ask you a question, and I'm not arguing, I'm just stating what has already been said. Waiting could cost even more, and I don't know, are we doubting that the wastewater treatment facility needs the upgrades?
Well, I understand it needs it,
Right.
but I just, this is a lot of money.
It is.
If it was coming out of your wallet, you'd really be thinking about it.
Yeah, I would.
The one thing I would, I believe the deadline to get on the Board of Water and Natural Resources meeting would be February 17th. I don't have a definite from that, but I've heard one other community, that's when they had to get things in to be able to get on that agenda. And so, just kind of giving you a timeline, if you don't get on that agenda, then you would not be heard until June, their June meeting. That would be after the bid, if the city council did approve going out for bid. And so that would put you in that situation again of not knowing if you had enough funding if you went out and bid.
And that's all this letter is doing, is it is a letter that was requested by Andy that be written, that requests that we ask to transfer those funds from the part 2 of the project to be part 1.
To address Lucas's concern, I'm with you that $59,000 is a huge costly mistake. I'm guessing we already have to foot that bill, so tabling it probably doesn't make it so we don't have to pay the bill on.
This doesn't approve, that would be a whole separate council item, that $59,000 500 amendment that would come to council. And I didn't want to bring that tonight because I didn't want it to feel like that was all having to be approved at once. That'll come separate. This is just to make the request to DANR that they put it on the Board of Water and Natural Resources meeting to provide funding for the project through this means. This is the cheapest way the city can make the improvements to the wastewater treatment plant. It does delay your collection system improvements. That would have to go to the Board of Water and Natural Resources, another funding request in the future. But the only other option right now is if you don't want to request these funds to be shifted to the treatment plant would be to go out and get a loan for it, for the full amount, instead of the small portion that you have a loan for with this one because so much of it is grant.
Well, it looks like we just, I'll make the motion and I'll second that. Or Darrell made the motion, so I'll second it and we'll move on.
Motion's been made and seconded according to item 7C as written. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for your time, Tammy.
Thank you.
How about chairperson updates? If anybody has any, streets would be Lucas.
I think that from here on out, I would like it if a representative from these sections or whatever would join the meeting, council meeting, and give us all an update instead of, I mean, we required that of Mr. Sculler.
That's what we used to do.
And I think it would be more advantageous to all of us and the public that's here rather than going based off of council member meeting with them and then coming back and relaying what they remember talking about. So I just would like to do that going forward.
Good idea. You said a member, so for instance, and I'm just gonna use the golf course community center. One of the two people could be here. They don't have to be
Just a member, so that they can, we can hear it from their mouth.
Yeah.
Before tonight, Lucas, you can tell us about the streets.
Well, I guess with all the snowfall, I think we've done above average compared to a lot of other small towns. We did a good job on getting the snow hauled out, and I think the streets look overall pretty good, so other than that, I think it's going well, and that's all I got.
Cool. I'm assuming there isn't a lot to talk about regarding the cemetery.
I do have one comment on street. Lonnie wanted me to just kind of talk to you guys about your thoughts on chip sealing. We'll be talking about that at the next council meeting. It's Lonnie's recommendation that we just do the plain chip sealing and not do fog sealing as well as chip sealing. But you can be thinking about that between now and our next council meeting.
Bless you.
And Lonnie also said for this year, he would not like to be that joint program with the Burroughs Engineering like we looked at last year, and he would just like to do the work ourselves and put it out to bid. So Austin, that'll be something coming your way.
Okay, well, I think we will skip over the cemetery, and we'll go to water. Nothing really. The one person that had contacted me about water clarity, I kept doing experiments for a number of days after the fact, and I didn't see any issue. I think the only reason I did see an issue in the actual toilet bowls is that we were gone that weekend, and it's just sat. But
I mean, the water does flow through a cast iron pipe. So
yeah, absolutely. There's going to be some rust that breaks loose for
correct.
multiple reasons. Wastewater, Kyle.
I think we've had enough of that tonight.
All right, sounds good to me. How about the library / it says auditorium, but really library.
No news.
Okay. Golf course community center. Carla?
You heard from them tonight.
Seen quite a bit of information there. That is a good example of what you were saying, Kyle, having them here. What more is there to say, really? Park and pool, it's kind of a...
For park and pool, the advertising is out for lifeguards. We did get one advertisement, or one application in for pool manager.
Is that a previous?
It was a WSI guard that is looking to move up to be pool manager.
But a previous employee?
Yes.
Finance office, finance and budget, Cindy?
We have been busy these last weeks. We helped with the golf sponsorship letters as well, and then we sent out dog and cat letters, so all of those got mailed out as well.
Because you have to pay by the 31st and it's coming.
It is coming.
Oh, it's the 31st, not the 21st? Good, I'm not late yet.
No.
And Darla for the liquor store.
I haven't been down there, but we got good news, and at least the bottom of the ice machine was in good shape, which,
No, that saved some money there.
yeah,
Yeah,
$1,000.
yeah,
yeah,
that is good.
1,300.
That is good. Thank you. I don't know how you feel about it. Do you want to keep our legal representative here for the rest of the meeting, or do you want to let him go, or?
Probably make his way home.
It's entirely up to them.
Yeah, no, it's up to you guys, but.
It was nice to meet you in person.
Yes.
Yes,
that's
it
right.
was.
Thank you.
There's an ordinance in front of you. review that we've already discussed. This would be the second reading of ordinance 2022-11, Code of Conduct. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's adding a chapter.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Have a good night, guys.
Do you have any approval for the second reading of that ordinance?
A motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2022-11.
You do have to read the whole thing.
At the top.
An ordinance of the City of Alcester, South Dakota, amending the revised municipal ordinances of the City of Alcester by adding Chapter 1.05 Code of Conduct.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2022-11 as written in item 10 on the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chapter 6, municipal ordinance regarding snow removal.
Lucas requested this be on the agenda, and there is a discussion item on there about property owners not pushing snow back out into the street, but there's no penalty or anything if they do.
I guess just, everybody cares about clean streets, everybody wants to complain, and as a longtime business owner, operator, doing snow removal for 25 years here in town, commercially, residential, respect when the snowplow goes by. Don't put your snow back on the streets. It's very disrespectful. I've seen quite a bit again. I mean, I know people get upset about snowplow going by, making a big old windrow at the end of the driveway. I get it. But don't throw all your snow back out on the street. I mean, it's a rough ride for people that want to drive across that, including myself. I mean, if you want to ride a skid loader, it's like riding a Bronco. If you don't believe me, sit in it for 23 hours. When people go across and they have all their snow piles out on the street, I think we need everybody as a homeowner, renter, whatever, try to do a better job keeping the snow in your yard. So I guess that's just my little situation that I wanted this brought up at city council.
So regarding this discussion, we're talking about 6.0302, the disposal.
That is correct.
I know when I lived in Sioux Falls, when I was first a homeowner, they were very quick to tell me that I could not put my snow back onto the street, so.
Right.
So many comments.
And I guess another situation is fire hydrants. You know, we got fire hydrants covered up.
Yeah.
And your house is on fire and the fire hydrant's in your front yard. And the first responders there trying to dig out all the ice around the fire hydrant. So look at the first responder and be upset. Clean your fire hydrants.
Good point.
That's not on here though.
No, but it's snow and
Yep.
I just wanted to bring it up because I've been going around shoveling them out myself.
Yep, I showed them.
So if it would snowstorm, and that would go with this, usually the cops put tickets on the window, so who will do it now? We don't have a cop.
There weren't any tickets this time.
There wasn't, but what if there would've had to be? Do you have to do it?
We're just gonna say that, some city people have some grace right now until we have an officer.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if Lonnie or Dale could jump off and throw one on there. It has to be a,
An officer, it is a citation.
Or the street department can bury the car.
yeah, yep. I
That
wouldn't
happens.
blame them a couple times.
I saw one that was plowed around, and of course, after they got the car out, then they came back again and grace, showed some grace and cleaned it off, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's good discussion. Is there any more discussion regarding snow removal?
I think when we get an officer full-time, we'll try to have something where we can enforce it, and we can get a citation for it, I guess.
Well, if they're supposed to ticket for
On-
sidewalks and for if they're in the street during a,
Snow alert.
yeah, and the snow alerts run across the bottom of it. Keeps nothing
So
to
is it a ticket from, does it have to be a ticket from the police? Because if I remember right, in Sioux Falls, I got a bill from the city of Sioux Falls. If I didn't scoop my sidewalk or something like that, it was a warning or something from the city rather
Yeah,
than
why can't we
like
do
a
that?
police thing.
That's correct, because it's against a city ordinance, so the city can.
Well, but that's just like parking illegally or anything, driving, you know, I mean,
It's
any
something to
any
look-
ordinance is really enforced by the law enforcement agency. Not to say that it couldn't be rewritten
It's
differently.
something to think
Yeah,
about if that's a
But the
possibility.
wording of the ordinance would actually dictate that, who is the enforcer, for lack of a better word.
Well, I definitely think that we need to let our police officers know that, because I had several discussions about it with our old police chief, and they just think, they said that it wasn't a priority to them. But I think that they don't realize that income from those tickets pay them.
Well, that's a good point too, but, I mean, if the ordinance is a law, and if the ordinance is supposed to be upheld by the law person, well, why are they not enforcing it? I mean,
I didn't get an answer from them,
yeah,
except that there are more important things, like, and
and
you know what they say.
I'll agree that there are a lot of things that are more important than enforcing, say, for instance, some snow infractions, but it's still an ordinance, so.
Yeah.
Any other discussion regarding snow removal? If not, we're going to move on to moving a curb stop on 102 Broad Street.
So we had a house that had a curb stop next to the house, which is kind of not normal. Normally the curb stops are quite a ways away from the home. The curb stop developed a leak during our very cold snap. The property owner, in the meantime, had built a deck over the curb stop. And the deck needed to be dismantled, and we had to thaw the ground and get the curb stop operational again, because water was leaking in the basement. And the property owner is willing to pay that extra expense to have the curb stop moved near the end of the property instead of next to the home, because this property owner doesn't want to go through this again.
What's the curb stops?
It's what shuts the water on and off.
That little,
Oh, like cozy.
Yeah, it's that little thing that
Yeah,
sticks up in
okay,
your
'cause I
yard.
had a hard time finding.
Mhm.
You got a
Yeah.
little cap that's about this big around, you probably can see it sometimes.
Sometimes they're above the ground, sometimes they're not. I mean,
Okay.
sometimes they're right level with it.
It might be
Okay,
in the
now I-
cement,
alright.
I mean, they could be,
Yeah, I've seen them, I know there now.
But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that once the weather gets nicer, we probably will be moving that curb stop. It was just fixed temporarily so that the property owner could have water but it's not our typical valve that we normally put in there. So we will be moving it in the spring, but just wanted you guys to be aware of that.
next item is, is there any other discussion regarding that? If not, next item is lighting quote.
So, as you can probably see, some of the lighting, like, and especially over Lucas, they have been slowly dying. And these are the old fluorescent bulbs. And I obtained 2 quotes on what it would take to either replace the lighting and go strictly with LED, or, because I don't want to buy the old school fluorescent bulbs to put in there. And I did have a couple of units completely fail where I put the new bulbs in and it still didn't work. So the light that's over by my desk is, you'll see it's a different color. It's more of a blue than the yellow that we have. That one was completely out, and Axel put in a couple of LED bulbs for me just to see what that new lighting would be. So you do have 2 quotes in front of you. One of them is from GNR Controls, those Sioux Falls, and what their bid was to put in all new LED lights. There's 55 lights between this room, the offices, and the main hallway. And then I had Axel give me a bid also. But I do need to start to replace some of these lights. And it will save money in the long run too, for energy.
So when he comes to replace this, the ballast goes out. There's no ballast needed for an LED assembly. That turns out to be kind of a savings in the long run too, because sometimes the ballast fails in a fluorescent light. So I'm not saying that it needs to be done, I'm not saying we should do it, but more information.
I do need to move forward on some plan though, because, you know, like Lucas's corner is getting kind of dark. And you'll see all the dark spots and all the lights are all the ones that are failing. I did have him, the hallway has new lights in it and the vestibule has a new light in it, because those were out.
So do we have to fix it even though it's not our building?
I did not present this to the industrial board, because they are the owner of this. We handle the maintenance type things. I mean, I certainly could ask Jamie if he'd consider doing a 50%
Cost share thing.
cost share on this.
Good point.
But we really don't pay utility. The only utility we pay is phone.
We don't pay utilities, and why are we worried about a lower electric bill?
Well, because I need to have some new lighting in here before they all fail. So, and I do like LED. I mean, it is brighter and it does save energy. I mean, when the guys put LED in the shop, it was a significant difference in their utility bill.
That's what Van Larson did to the entire building, except the engineering department, but it's amazing. People couldn't see what they were winding, they can now, but it's not cheap, as you can see.
I'd say just visit with Jamie and kind of see what he's got to say, because I mean, I know they talked about they want us to take over this building, but of course there's other things that go with it too. So.
It's true. Have we heard any more about the old part of the school and?
No, we haven't heard back from the engineers, they're putting together the bid, and the school has not heard back from them yet.
So you want to just table the lighting for right now and see what he's got to say and talk about it at another meeting? Okay. Put it on the agenda for next week. Hopefully we can find out what his opinion is. Or not next week, excuse me, next meeting. Finance office updates.
Like I said, last week we just spent the time doing both the dog letters and helped with the golf sponsorship letters, preparing for the annual report. Yeah, that's all I have.
You can see that there are 2 performance reviews that are due. One would be Rhonda Bushby at, and that's a full year, and Abigail Moore, half year performance review. And then we come to this bill from ELO CPAs and advisors.
Isn't that what was in our budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't go up.
No,
from
it hasn't
that.
changed. I haven't gotten an engagement letter, so I don't know the new
Oh.
one yet.
Well, this, even though it says ELO, this was actually done by Quam Berglund Post. It's this blue.
This is this past year's audit.
Right,
Yeah.
that's correct. It's this one.
Oh,
So that
okay.
actually says Quam Berglund Post,
Okay.
even though the bill says ELO.
It's just that now the bill came as yellow and not bumper.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So we knew that.
We did.
But we need a motion to approve the paying of that and where it's coming from.
I'll make a motion to pay ELO bill for the 2021 audit of $9,000. $4,500 will come out of the general fund, $2,250 out of the water fund, $2,250 out of the sewer fund.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve paying the ELO $9,000 audit bill. Which $4,500 comes out of the general fund, $2,250 comes out of the water fund, and $2,250 comes out of the sewer fund. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? As far as reminders and updates, it says shovel all walkways and a path to the water meter. That's another thing, that water meters should be accessible. It's not quite as much of an emergency as a fire hydrant, that's for sure, but it's still important, so.
Yeah, I don't envy Abigail and Dale. This next time around it's gonna be a rough one.
Yeah, it is. First day to circulate election petitions is January 27th. That's coming out, that's coming up real soon. As Vicki Larson had mentioned, there is a map that shows the actual ward placement in the city, and it's got petitioning information as well there. I'm assuming that it has percentages and number of.
I haven't gotten those from the county yet.
Okay. So there will probably be more information forthcoming because each individual from the ward requires a certain percentage of signatures from that ward. And we don't exactly know how many people are in each ward right yet. City council meeting will be February 6th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And item number 15, an executive session if needed.
A short one, please.
Okay, and what would the reason
Personnel.
be?
One.
Okay, the finance officer is asking for a short executive session pursuant to 125-2, parent 1.
Make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2 parentheses 1.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to enter into executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2, parentheses 1. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we are in executive session at 8:30 PM. Well, we are out of executive session at 8:52 PM. And the only other item left is item number 16.
I make a motion to adjourn council.
Second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn the city council. Is there any discussion? Tempted to wait another 30 seconds, but we'll just say, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and we adjourn at 8:52.
Oh, and I did give each of you the flyer